Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. My name is Dustin Cormier, and you're watching another episode of Howtorockastrology. Pleasure to see it, folks. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the illustrious and illuminating Venus in the sign of Leo. Now, I am a tropical Vedic astrologer. I use Western measurements, and I'm rooted in Western astrology, but I've been obsessed with Vedic, and I am looking to perpetuate what Vedic can bring to our idea of the planets in the signs and of everything astrology. So feel free to hang out with me and see if any of the insights that I give resonates with your experience. That's what I often recommend. Venus in Leo happens to be one of the most difficult placements of Venus. This is partly because Venus is one sign away from its debilitation point of Virgo, and it's moving towards Virgo. Venus in Libra is obviously better because it's in its own sign, but it's also moving towards Pisces. Venus in Leo is moving towards Virgo, and not only that, but it is in the sign of an enemy, in this case being the sun. This is the worst quadrant of the zodiac for Venus, particularly Venus in Cancer, Venus in Leo, Venus in Virgo, all have the most difficulty. Venus in Leo is the second toughest, if not possibly it could be argued that this might be the toughest placement for Venus, because even when Venus is in Virgo, it's delighted by its friend Mercury. When Venus is in Leo, it is in the sign of its enemy, the sun. Now, there's many Vedic people who you can watch who kind of convey the nature of this. Essentially, Venus and the sun are enemies to each other. Even some planet combinations are like one is a friend and one is an enemy. For example, Mercury conjunct the moon is a funny thing because the moon is delighted by being with its friend Mercury, but Mercury is starved by being with its enemy, the moon. In the case of Venus and the sun, they're both enemies to each other. The main reason why is because Venus is supposed to be a merchant. Libra is the sign of the scales. It's trying to equalize things. Venus in Leo is trying to equalize things through the authority and the desire to be appreciated for equalizing things. And sometimes it is pushy about its idea of how to equalize this or that situation. And it's, as we're going to read, it's very flashy, and this is one of those placements of Venus where there's a instinct to work harder rather than smarter. Venus idealizes itself in this sign. It wants to be larger than life. It wants every moment to be full of the intense heat of the sun. It's sort of like a merchant who's really trying to push to sell this amazing thing. It's the best thing. It's the greatest thing you've ever seen. There's nothing like it. There's nothing else like it. And the person is like, okay, get it out of my face. God, let me just go over to this person. A Venus and Pisces merchant is just honest. It's just like, this is what I have. And I care. I care about my wares. And this is it. And I can explain to you what it is about me that's good. And wow, you've got some things that are very nice too. The Venus in Pisces has this open-heartedness about it that doesn't push it to be more than it is. Venus in Leo tends to make itself, and really it idealizes love. It strongly wants, through the authority of the soul, to have an idea of a certain type of love. And this can be good for a career. Venus is giving to Leo as much as Leo is giving to Venus. And Venus is giving to Leo a benefic in the sign of Leo, which means that this helps the sun. It helps to give a salesman quality to things. See, this watch right here, it's really got something special. And you can use that in your career and your ambition. But there's an intrinsic need, or there's an intrinsic instinct to bring this quality into your personal romantic life, where you idealize what you want and what you think is good for you and your partner, and you try to really push by, oh, come on, honey. There's like a disappointment and there's an anticipation that you push on your partner. At least, this is the idea of this, the problem with this sign placement. Venus at its most natural is pure water. It gives it and it receives it by giving it, so that there's mutual benefit. It's like a horse coming to water. You can't make it drink. But if you can make it appetizing, then the person will feel value in not being pushed to drink your water. Venus in Leo will idealize, like we would look so good if we like I've got my leather coat and honey, I mean, why don't you go out and get yourself like a leather coat like I've got? It would be really nice if you did. Imagine how good we would look together. And the partner is just like, I don't like wearing leather. I know you do, and that's okay. And why? It's not that big a deal. And maybe you do want this. Maybe you do want to share this thing with your partner. There's nothing wrong with that. But when your will doesn't come through, there's a frustration in Venus. There's too much idealization of a certain something, and even of the relationship itself, which is not conducive to the deep listening that Venus is supposed to be. Venus and the moon together convey the water chakra. It's called the Svadhisthana chakra. And this is a chakra that is supposed to receive love and goodness and nurturing and support from the universe, from those around you, by you putting out the same. You will, you'll project that you want a certain idealization, or we all want to be loved. We all want to be appreciated for what we are. Venus in particular is the planet which conveys a desire to be appreciated for what you put out there that feels good to you. This is why it's energy. We give people the water of our Venus, and we have enough of it. We already have an excess of what we give so instinctively. And others drink the water of our Venus. And we also, by doing so, are appreciated for this nature that we have, right? So this means that we give value. Venus is about mutual benefit. We give value to others, and they give us love. They secure us. They share their water, their love and affection, their time, and they're there for us when we have difficulty, because we have something of value to them, and it's our enjoyment. Everybody loves seeing someone else's enjoyment. Even sexually, we can understand this. A lot of the times, most people, this is the way Venus is. Mars is something different. Mars is me getting mine off. But most people's Venus turns on when the other person is turned on by something. So by us having our enjoyment, the other person appreciates us for, we appreciate the Venus in the other person, and we want to be appreciated for the Venus in ourselves. Now, Venus in Leo wants to be appreciated for its placement. And this is a Venus that wants to be appreciated for being kind of larger than life and making the relationship flashy and larger than life. And it's conducive to, much ado about nothing. It's conducive to superficial displays of affection and of gestures. And, Venus also does represent us in some ways, attracting circumstances that we want to live within. And if we have to push to attract those circumstances, then we are always going to have to push in a way. We are all, this is the thing about Venus, is that it's not placed well in Leo because Venus is supposed to work smarter, not harder. Venus is supposed to be this easy-going thing where really it's, Venus at its worst is like superficial, and it is eating the menu instead of just being happy with the meal. And it looks at all these fantastic meals that are possible, and it'll even buy something that is completely excessive and unnecessary. And Venus and Leo people should even be careful of their weight and these sorts of things, because they'll take on excess of a lot, thinking that that is a larger than life existence, when really the whole picture that they unconsciously paint is someone who is desirous of ideas of comfort and gratification. And this is not the same as Pisces. Like Pisces loves, Venus in Pisces is as much energy of Venus, but it listens to what is organically unfolding as being the enjoyment between myself and my partner. It listens and it doesn't speak first. Venus in Pisces listens to what seems to be building together between us as being the most enjoyable thing for both of us in the long run. Venus in Leo, it just applies it to it doesn't listen instinctively in the same way. And you might, this isn't to say that you can't listen, but these are the superficial qualities of Venus in Leo. And I have to say at this point that if you've been watching any of these other videos, I make the caveat that, just because Venus in Leo can have these qualities, this is only the sign. All astrologers on YouTube, if they're doing what they should be, for a video like this that's like a cookbook thing, Venus and Leo describes these qualities, you have to understand that there's so much more going on with Venus than just its sign placement. There's the planets that it could be conjunct or an aspect to. It could be an aspect to some friends, especially in particular, Mercury and Saturn are friends to Venus. They help to secure or to help communicate the issues related to Venus. Venus could be strong by Shadbala. Venus is stronger at the latter part of the year, in the winter. It's stronger during the waning moon. All these things are conveyed by Shadbala. As well, Venus does well close to the 4th house cusp. And as well, just because you have all this doesn't mean that you won't be able to get love. The 7th house could have good positive placement planets in it. The 4th house is really about love and a deep sense of intimacy. And you can have positive planets there, which will probably get you the relationship that you seek, as well as the dispositor of the 7th and 4th house. And even the 2nd house can offer things of value to people. So there's many ways that we convey love. And overall, even truly, Jupiter is the planet of marriage. Jupiter is what we live for in the relationship and what the relationship lives for. Venus is just how we go about enjoying it. And with Venus in Virgo, there is an inclination to have a big idea of how we should enjoy ourselves. And it's like excessive, but this is who you are. This is where your Venus is, and you have Venus there. You have Venus. And while it may feel starved by the sun, especially because you have an idea of the type of love that you want to live, the sun is not always capable of fully giving this Venus all that it wants, even if the sun is very well placed. If the sun is very well placed, there'll be less of this starvation because Venus is being channeled through the sun. So if your sun is exalted and it's got friends there, then it will still want to be appreciated for this excessiveness in a way, for being over the top about everything related to sentimental fun with friends and hanging out with people and luxuries and whatever. But if the sun is very well placed, you'll still have a solid career, and you'll have a good status and a consistency in life that will ease a bit of this starvation, because you'll have time, ideally. If you've got a good, strong sun, you'll put in time to your work, and then when it's done, it's done. You'll come home, and you'll be able to live the life you want to live. And your Venus will want to live it big. And ultimately, no matter how well the sun is placed, unless there's a lot of support to this Venus, it'll ultimately probably feel starved by the fact that it has to live its ambitious life before it can hang out with its friends and to have the big prestigious experience of closeness with its lover, and to have the trophy love of showing everybody, look how good we are and how great we've got this thing going on. Venus in Leo will want to have many experiences showing off the love. And if you really think deep down, when you look back in the rearview mirror, it's not about the many things that you do with your partner that probably connect you to them. It's the fact that this is the gesture. You want to show love in a big, grandiose way. And you always want more and different ways to do it. And it's like you got to one-up yourself all of a. Some people will experience this where it's like, last birthday, I got them, 2 birthdays ago, I got them this beautiful new sweater. Now, last year, I took them to a concert, and that was huge. Now, this year, God, I'm going to take them on a cruise. But then what do you do next year? You know what I mean? This is the type of starvation that this person puts on themselves. But ultimately, this is your nature, and you do want to be appreciated for being someone who gives a big, loving, grandiose, sentimental expression of gesture of the love that you want. And ultimately, it's part of who you are. I recommend for anybody with any placement of planets that can be difficult, meditate. Observe the fact that your pure witness of your superconscious intelligence is moving through the past action of the samskaras, of your ancestral karma, who has gotten around by being this type of person. Essentially, there's a capacity in Venus and Leo to be somebody who needs to who needs to be like the perfect wife or the perfect husband, and to have all these symbols, these classical symbols of romantic courtship and things that any lover would find enjoyable at some level. And if you meditate, you will realize that while the superficial artifice of all these things can be enjoyable at some level, and you want to give them at a certain level, but if you meditate, you will find a way to give just the right amount of this artifice, just the right amount of this grandiose gestures, while still being mature about it, still not feeling like you need to in order to keep your love. Venus and Leo can be known for attracting lovers who see how much the Venus and Leo will kind of like become a bit of an item, an object, a love object, and not like a person in yourself who's being loved by your partner. Because you kind of put that out to your partner, and that is what you'll get if that's what you're looking for, because Venus is a reflection of ourselves. If you're looking for a partner who is just somebody, you're in love with the idea of lavishing all these things upon your partner, and that's the giving nature of Venus. But if you're so into the idea of giving all these things, the receiving end will be not real. It's like you can't sit comfortably with your lover without doing all those things. And if you can't do all those things, then you can't love your lover, and that's conditional love. Because there's going to be a point where your lover looks at you and says, honey, let's drop it. All we got to do is lie here and watch a movie tonight. It doesn't got to be a crazy movie. We don't got to get a big, luxurious thing happening. I just want to sit and chill. We don't have to have a big, bumping, crazy sex tonight. I just want to chill. It's been a hard day at work. Let's just chill. And eventually time will do that to your relationship, like it happens to all of our relationships. And the relationships that last are the ones where we can, just like it's in Pulp Fiction, you know, Uma Thurman said it, you know, isn't it nice when you can just sit with a person and shut the fuck up and not say anything and feel like that was appropriate in that moment? The Venus and Leo in you will find moments within that to juice things up, to make things extra special, because that's who you are and that's who you want to be appreciated for being. And if you've got a partner who loves you, who's married to you for things more than just this superficial artifice, not necessarily married, but connected to you for more than just this superficial thing, then they will sit with you and be with you and find ways of showing that, you know, that your Venus and Leo is a cool, fun, great thing. It's just, you know, my advice is that the more you ring it, the less enjoyable it will be at some level. You know, take it from Venus and Pisces, who doesn't feel the need to be too much, but Venus and Pisces represents a balance of listening to what both lovers would feel enticed by, so that you can work smarter, not harder. So you do just the right amount of grandeur and flash without feeling like you're losing it. It's like, I don't have it anymore. I did it so much when I was young, and now I can't anymore because it's like my lover's gotten sick of it. You know, don't let that happen. Do it. Think about it right from the beginning as a lover who you'll be bonded with for a long time, and then think about, you know, I'm a musician. It's like, I'm a musician. I'm Leo rising. When I come to a show, I think about putting some good things at the start of the concert or the relationship. The middle can be kind of chill, and then throughout the end of the concert, you know, through the end of life in the Venus sense, you know, make sure you haven't put all the good stuff at the front end. Make sure you haven't pushed so hard at the front end of a relationship that when it gets to the back end, you feel boring because you've let out all your tricks. You know, that is some advice that I could give to the Venus and Leo, who is so close to Virgo that there's an idealization, there's a need to push, there's a need to work harder rather than smarter. Observe, meditate, see the compulsion of your mind to make things bigger than they need to be, and accept that you can make things bigger in a balanced way and ultimately connect with your lover at a soul level so that they will accept when you don't have any vitality left to make things a big grandeur, a big grandiose gesture. Communicate with them, and that's an important thing here too, because your Venus is starved. You might feel like you'll just go and be individually and isolated and not talk to your partner because it's embarrassing for you to not be on it when it comes to your relationship. The sun burns, there's a pridefulness here that burns out the Venus when it can't be everything all the time that your lover wants to be. But your Venus has an intrinsic Venusian nature that goes beyond the sign. And when those moments happen, use the wisdom of your Venus to just drop the pride, drop the overabundant dignity, and just say, my darling, I love you, and I feel like I am having trouble keeping up with how much I used to show you the love that I used to show you. And if they're a good lover for you, and if they love you for more than this thing that you feel the compulsion to do, they'll remind you. And they say, my darling, I love you for so much more than what you do for me. But I love what you do for me. I appreciate all those things. But when it doesn't come, it doesn't matter, because our love is based on Jupiter. Hint, hint. That's the real marriage planet. Your lover will love you for more than for something that's more intrinsic in the soul that you're growing through. It's more than the type of enjoyment that you share through Venus. Hint, hint. Now, this has been my sort of spiel on this sort of on this combination. Now, I'm going to give a reading from 2 books to kind of round out the personality of Venus in Leo, as we've been describing it. First one comes from Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation Handbook. What we read is that Venus is the sign position of Venus shows how one expresses affection, feels appreciated, and gives of self. Venus in Leo expresses affection warmly, dramatically, and enthusiastically. For Venus in Leo, emotionally colored tastes are influenced by one's pride and an urge for recognition. I want to be recognized for my taste, which can be superficial in its own way, but it's still part of how you gain the taste that you have. Your Venus is there. You got to accept it, remove the chaff, and take the wheat. And don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Venus in Leo gives of self with creative vitality and receives from others graciously and proudly. Ah, yes, thank you very much. And it's important to ring, for these people typically, to ring in the recognition that someone has given you something. Sociability and expressions of love are colored by playfulness, generosity, and loyalty. An exchange of deeper feelings with another person may be encumbered by one's need to be the center of attention or to dominate the other's emotional life. To put a lot of forcefulness into your partner's, it's like you try to control your partner's happiness or their moods, or whenever they're not feeling at their best, there's even a desire, come on, honey, we've been feeling bad for a little bit of while, and now we really need to feel good now because it's been a long time since we felt good here on this date. And the other partner's like, yeah, I know, honey, I'm just not feeling it, and it's just like, there's an urgency to control the mutual emotions here, which Venus at its best will accept the emotions, accept the situation, and do its best to still love the person unconditionally and even help the person through your positive Venus and Leo mood to kind of tease them a little bit. Oh, come on, baby. But when they're not there, just accept that it's not there and move on. And don't get too caught in feeling like I must be the problem. Because a lot of the times the Venus in Leo just has overabundance of relationship pride that it just makes them not see what's going on for what it is. Doesn't mean you're always going to do that. But sometimes when you feel that you've done something wrong, sometimes it's just that your partner's going through an emotional mood. Maybe it's something going on between the two of you. Communicate it. They'll communicate with you and just go from there. Don't always assume that you are doing something wrong and have to be the one to fix it. Give your partner the space to be a part of your mutual positive relationship emotions, right? So that was a little bit more of a cookbook idea of Venus and Leo. We're going to do one last cookbook go through. This is Erotic Astrology by Phylis, Vega. We're talking about Venus and Leo. This is a little bit more of a low-down, low-brow, romantic, bed lovemaking idea of how Venus and Leo operates in relationship. Venus in Leo is dramatic, enthusiastic, and self-confident. And glamour, excitement, and charm mark your courting style. Which is cool so long as you don't feel like you need to keep up appearances in order to connect with your partner. Because everybody's got their ups and downs. Venus and Leo has a way of disappearing when they're not at their best emotional place. And then they show up when they're, okay, it's all good. I've got it all back up again. And, their partner may have been trying to nurse themselves as well. And they would have loved for you to be there for them. Venus and Leo is one of those placements where you can be there for your partner when they're down, and you can be there for your partner when they're up. But you can't be there for your partner when you're down, at least by sign placement. And this would be something that would be good for you to be able to, again, let go of the pride and just be with your partner, whatever you're feeling and whatever they're feeling, right? A born show person with tons of physical and emotional magnetism. Venus in Leo enjoys being noticed and popular. Romance helps you maintain your high opinion of yourself, and you're happiest when you're in love. In an intimate union, you are lavish with your attentions, presence, and with yourself. Leo is a fixed sign, and despite all the fun and showmanship, you are an extremely stable, loyal, and faithful partner. You are somebody who just basically will stick to the person that you feel you want to be with, that you feel works with you, and you will be loyal for loyalty's sake. It's just that this can make for the type of person who will stick to something that they appears to work with all the abundance of energy that you put into it. And as time goes on, many Venus and Leo people find that the relationship is not as functional as they thought it was, especially because this Venus is so close to Virgo. It'll idealize somebody who allows me to give all this affection, and you appreciate all the affection I give you, and that's great. And as time goes on, the fixed nature of Leo wants to be loyal. And this can be good for Venus, so long as that loyalty is coming from a place of love and not from a place of familiarity and attachment to a ball and chain that is no longer serving me. Classic thing that we all placements go through, but Venus and Leo in particular has a way of moving through their life. You know, Venus is supposed to try the pie before it buys. There's a real mystical sentiment of Venus being exalted in Pisces, a mutable sign that's open, letting the relationship be, that really Western consciousness doesn't get this so much. Because people think they just want to get married, especially in Christian-minded North America, at least. You know, it's kind of like you get the partner and you don't have sex before marriage, and then you get married, and then you figure out what the soul of the person is like. Venus is not quite like that, really, in reality. In reality, Venus is exalted in Pisces. It wants to try the pie before it buys and move through in an open-hearted way through the loves that are all around it, and through getting the love from everybody around you, we find and feel a love that would be enjoyable for us after we've married them and connected with them and bonded with them. Venus in Leo will grasp something early on that feels functional enough, abide by loyalty to it, and burn it out until it absolutely doesn't work anymore. This will serve you when you finally get the partner that you seek, if you find the partner that you actually seek, and don't latch on to one that doesn't work your whole life. It's a Venus thing that I could talk about that more, but it's more of a conversation for Venus at its essence than Venus and Leo here. So I'll keep going. Venusian lions make passionate, ardent lovers, and your affection is sincere and wholehearted. It is hard for you to separate love and sex, and even your most erotic impulses and fantasies are typically driven by deep affection for your mate. Lovely. Drawn to colorful, interesting people, you thrive in a love relationship that has an epic feel, as if you and your significant other are the stars of your own romantic drama. And really, anybody who's been with Venus and Leo will feel that noble, like love is this most important thing type of consciousness, which can be very beautiful so long as you treat Venus ultimately. Even though there is this deep affection that it can be so enjoyable, we all still need to treat Venus as only one of 7 chakra fields, one of 7 embodied planets, as including the outer planets, which adds up to 10. It is one of the many arbiters of our energy field that we need to keep in a balance. And, by keeping all the other things in balance, we will not be starved by wanting the abysmal nature of Venus, which Venus can be abysmal. If you let it be too much of what it is without reining it in, this is why Venus is delighted by Saturn. Venus has Saturn for a friend. And if the Saturn is aspecting Venus, even in a placement like Leo, will still do the grandeur thing, but it will be metered. It will have a sense of the abysmal nature of Venus, which just always wants more and more and more and more. And it becomes, there's a Zen image of a hungry ghost with a giant belly, but a very, very small neck. So it always wants to eat more, but it's always hungry for more, but it can only get so much in. And this can become Venus and Leo if you don't think about the fact that Venus is delighted by Saturn and it's managed by Mercury, communicating and realizing that it needs to be spread out, or else you're going to be too hungry for an idealized experience that you ultimately will never realistically find. But if your Venus is placed well enough, you'll get something. And it might not ever be exactly what you idealized it to be, but it'll be Venus. And you'll look back in the rearview mirror and say, thank God I got something. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm Dustin Cormier for Howtorockastrology. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to know if I did this combination justice. And stay in touch with me because I always got more stuff coming out in the world of Howtorock'Astrology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip.